This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritschner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome into the Xavier season preview here on the Rebound Rundown. I was joined by Rick Broering, the publisher of MusketeerReport.com, to get his thoughts on the Musketeers and what the team will look like this season, some expectations, things to watch for, all of that. And then at the end of this show, some interviews from Big East Media Day, head coach Richard Pitino, and then the players Anthony Robinson, Malik Messina-Moore, Tre Carroll, and Filip Borovicanin. All of those interviews on the other side of this interview with Rick Broering. Rick Broering, welcome back to the Rebound Rundown. It's great to have you here today as we preview Xavier in their 2025-2026 season. You and I just wrapped up the Musketeer Report Xavier preview, and now we're going to do a condensed version of it, the 10 to 15 minute quick rundown for the Rebound Rundown. It's another college basketball season, and it's great to have you on here today, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm loving the new background too. Let's go.
Yeah, we fired everything up here. We got the studio. We got things. We've taken things up a level on the rundown this season. So as we do that, we're again previewing all these teams, run through all these teams this week, and getting here to Xavier. Obviously, a new coach for the Musketeers, Richard Pitino, coming over from New Mexico. Back-to-back Mountain West championships for Richard Pitino. He's been to the NCAA tournament, coming off a win over Marquette in the first round. Probably should have beat Michigan State in the second round of the tournament to go to the Sweet 16, but Michigan State ended up making some plays down the stretch in that game. New Mexico was bounced in the second round. Brings a couple of players from New Mexico to Xavier, Jovan Milicevic and Filip Borovicanin, over from the Lobos here to Xavier, but nobody else on the roster is familiar with Pitino outside of maybe Roddy Anderson, who played against him, Pop Bench. A couple guys that played against him, but there's zero returning scoring, zero returning minutes on the Xavier team. Everything is new. Roddy Anderson redshirted last year. He's the only player that was even in the program that was back as far as scholarship players go. Rick, what can you expect out of Xavier this year?
Well, I think it's going to be a difficult year for the Musketeers, Paul. I think, they have a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that have to be figured out as they go. And in addition to all of that newness and the lack of chemistry and everything that they'll have to figure out on the fly, I think they're also dealing with a lack of talent this year. They don't have the top end talent that's required to play at the top of the Big East. I think, if you're hoping for a best case scenario, everything goes right for Xavier, you're hoping they can maybe get towards the middle pack of the conference this year.
I think the ceiling for this team, like we talked about just a few minutes ago on the other show, on your show, I think the ceiling for this team is probably 16 wins. Would you agree with that? What would you say, before we talk about players and some specifics, what would you say is the ceiling and the floor for this team?
Yeah, that's right where I've got it, Paul, is that like 500-ish level for their overall record. 16 and 15-ish is where I would put it. And, maybe just under 500 in Big East play. I think that's a scenario if everything goes right and Gabriel Posado comes back at some point, is playing well for this group, and they start to figure some things out in the second half of the season, I think they could potentially find themselves in that type of spot. I don't think it's a particularly strong year for the bottom half of the Big East.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there are going to be games that Xavier can win where going into the season, maybe we're overvalued. I think Providence is going to have a good season this year, but maybe that's a team that Xavier can clip a game there. I think Xavier, if you beat Seton Hall twice, if you beat DePaul twice, if you win the games you should win, and then maybe can pick up a couple of wins here and there that maybe you weren't supposed to win going into the game, that's where you can start to stack some things and build some momentum into the following season. If not, then that's just how it goes this year. Where do you think the floor for this team is?
Paul, I think it's possible it could get ugly for this group, and not from the perspective of they're going to fold and roll over or there's going to be major issues. I just think you could get to a spot where they just can't find a way to win games. They're close, but no cigar type of situations going off left and right for this group. Again, I go back to that lack of top end talent. I think they're going to have trouble having a go-to guy in those end of game situations, finding someone to get them out of a scoring drought and get them over the hump when they're struggling late in a second half, or a team's making a run on them. Those are the types of things that I'll be watching early, because if things are going to go really south for this team, and you're talking about a worst case scenario, I mean, I think it could be similar to what Seton Hall faced last year, where they just can't find a way to win those games, even if they're fighting hard and getting some turnovers and doing some good things on defense. They're just a play or two away every night, and you end up with just, 2 to 4 Big East wins. I don't think you can take that off the table. I think that's a possibility for this group.
I know this is a show about Xavier, but we also have a chance to talk about the Big East as a whole. If I set the number at 4.5 Big East teams to make the NCAA tournament this season, I think Creighton, St. John's, and UConn are locks to make the tournament. Can you get 2 more in?
No, I'm going under on that. I think that there is a clear top 3, the 3 that you just named, but I also think there's a clear separation between UConn, St. John's, and Creighton. And then after Creighton, I think the conference has the potential to really drop off a cliff after that. I think the rest of it is pretty mediocre, to be quite honest, mediocre to bad when you get towards the bottom of the conference. So no, I could see it just being a three teams in the NCAA tournament year for the Big East.
I will also go under on that number. I do think they get a 4th, whether that's Providence, maybe Marquette. I think 4.5 is probably the number, and I think I'll set it at under there, that they do get 4 teams in, but they don't go over to 5. Getting back to Xavier, who do you think is somebody that maybe we haven't heard a ton from in the preseason, or just haven't? Now, granted, there hasn't been a ton of talk about this team as a whole, so I know all of that's, keep that in the back of your head. But just in general, right? Somebody that maybe has flown under the radar or hasn't gotten any kind of attention that you think, maybe this guy could step up and make some plays this year for the Musketeers.
Yeah, I think the guy that I don't know if I want to predict anything out of him, but he has me most curious, is Jovan Milicevic. I expected when he came over from New Mexico that it was more of just a situation of like, well, he knows Richard Pitino. Pitino's comfortable with them, so it's a fine guy to have in the back end of your rotation and sitting on the bench and cheering for your guys. But as we've seen him throughout the preseason, he's really been a big-time shot maker for Xavier in practice. And if you go to practice on any given day throughout this preseason, there's a good chance he might have looked like the leading scorer, at least right there among the leading scorers for the Musketeers when they go live. So he hasn't shown that. He didn't show that, at least in the public exhibition. We didn't hear big things out of him in the secret scrimmage. I'm curious to see what happens when the actual lights go on for real. Can Jovan Milicevic play a scoring role for this team off the bench? Because they definitely need some firepower. And if they can get a 3-point shooter going, that could really help, especially one out of the front court. That provides a unique look for you.
Tre Carroll had a great exhibition against Murray State. Sounds like he played very well against Toledo as well in the closed scrimmage that happened on Sunday. Sounded like Anthony Robinson stood out in that closed scrimmage. It also sounds like turnovers have been an issue for Xavier, just in general, playing a little too quick, maybe is the right way to put it, that you're getting sped up and turning the ball over. Is that something you're looking out for, Rick, this year as far as ball control?
I think it could be a real problem, especially early, Paul. You got a couple things going on. One, Xavier wants to play at a breakneck pace. So Richard Pitino is fine with, it's like, I got a group of entirely new guys trying to come together and form chemistry, and we want to play really fast. He knows there are going to be mistakes and turnovers. So you're fine with a little bit of that. But then I think on top of that, you also have the fact that they don't have the best ball handlers in the world, and certainly not a lot of ball handling on this roster. Even when you look at some of the guys that are doing it, maybe you feel comfortable with a Filip Borovicanin handling the ball. Maybe you feel comfortable with the Malik Messina-Moore handling the ball a lot for you, but neither one are necessarily traditional point guards and haven't played that position throughout their careers. So that fact, I think you're going to see opposing teams maybe even try to take the pressure to Xavier and force them into more mistakes, and maybe even put some more backcourt pressure on them than you might normally see because of their personnel. So I do think the turnovers could be a real thing that we're watching early on in the season, especially.
What do you think is the biggest strength of a Richard Pitino team, that if a Xavier fan is listening to this show right now and maybe hasn't paid attention to the offseason too much, but they're catching up as the season gets close, what's a Richard Pitino team typically look like, and what do you think this team in particular will look like?
Well, Richard Pitino's best teams at New Mexico were playing really fast, forcing turnovers on defense, creating offense with their defense, getting out in transition. I think that's going to be something that he's definitely going to try to bring to Xavier. And that might be the earliest thing that you see go well for the Musketeers. I do think there's some potential to disrupt and force turnovers, use some of that length to get into passing lanes. There's some smart players on this team that can maybe, anticipate and jump those passes. So that's the part that I'd expect to really see early on show up as the major difference from the way Xavier has played in previous seasons and to potentially make a positive impact for this group. On the offensive end, everything that I've heard about playing against Richard Pitino is he gives his teams a lot of freedom. It's going to be a lot of spread ball screen. He often has great guards, and he really lets them play loose and play with confidence and gives them more concepts as opposed to constant micromanaging. And I think that's what you hear from a lot of the opposing coaches that have gone up against him over the last few seasons in the Mountain West. The problem for Xavier this year is I don't know that they really have the backcourt personnel to play like that. Don't know that you have a dynamic break you down off the dribble ball handler that can play in ball screens the way he has in some of his previous seasons at New Mexico.
The phrase that we keep coming back to every time we talk about this team is the lack of top end talent. That's what essentially it keeps boiling down to, is that this team feels like a group assembled around a bunch of very good role players on other teams that now somebody's going to have to step up and make a name for themselves as the star of this team, as a playmaker, as somebody that can go out there and put the ball in the basket at the end of the day. And I'm not sure who that guy is. And that's now 6 days before the season starts as we record this. That's an issue.
Yeah, and Gabriel Posado, you're going to hear a lot about him early on because he's sitting out right now for Xavier, and a lot of people are going to be saying, okay, well, what type of difference would he make? I feel like he's kind of similar to some of these other guys. Now, I do think he was going to be the most talented piece and expected to be their best player going into this season, but I also think he's in a similar boat where he's probably, in an ideal world, he's more of a role player as well, maybe more of a super role player. Xavier players are going to love this. They love to compare any wing that has a little bit of scrappy mentality to him to JP Makira. But quite honestly, that was the first name I heard associated with Gabriel Posado when he got to Xavier, was kind of that mold. Maybe not like a go-to scorer type of guy, but likes to fly around, be disruptive, plays with confidence and a little bit of an edge to him, and can make a few more plays athletically than you might typically associate with guys who are labeled as shooters. So that's where I think if he comes back at some point, he would give them a nice boost, but I also wouldn't necessarily be expecting him to solve all your problems, become that go-to guy that they've been missing.
Rick, I know time flies when we do these previews, because now all of a sudden we look at it, it's 12 minutes. I try to keep these between 10 and 15. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about? We did an hour-long show on the Musketeer Report previewing Xavier. So if you want the extended version of all of this, you can listen there. But I, as always, try to keep this brief for your morning commute. And is there anything else that you feel like sticks out, storylines to follow, things to watch? If this team, let me phrase it this way. This will be my last question for you. If this team ends up not being very good, they're not a tournament team, and it's just a development year for Xavier heading into the following season in year 2 under Richard Pitino, how should fans handle the season? What should they watch for?
Well, I think the biggest thing is they brought in 5 guys who are sophomores in terms of their years of eligibility, meaning they have this year plus 2 more of eligibility left. And we've heard Richard Pitino say it multiple times, like, you're going to have to think of every year as a different year and assemble a new roster, but you also have to have some continuity if you're going to have some success at this level. And so my biggest focus this year would be, how many of those sophomores can play first and foremost? How many would you want to keep around, can make an impact at the Big East level? And then second, how are they developing? Does it feel like they want to stick around? How are things going there? What's the player-coach relationship like? Because to me, that's going to be a lot of what this season is about for Xavier, is trying to find a few guys that can develop and may want to stick around for what Richard Pitino and his staff are doing.
Rick, tell the people where they can follow you, and tell the people about Musketeer Report.
Yeah, find it all at Musketeer Report on Twitter or social media, on Facebook, of course. We're big Facebook guys at Musketeer Report. That's our age group there. But yeah, go to musketeerreport.com if you want any of the insider information or just a great community of Xavier basketball fans.
Appreciate you, Rick. We'll have you on again throughout the season. You're always, great guest on this show, and I appreciate all your insight. Also going to have you on here to talk about the Northern Kentucky Norse. You're radio analyst there for the Norse. So appreciate you, talking about both Xavier and NKU here on the Rebound Rundown. Talk soon.
Thanks, Paul.
Xavier men's basketball head coach Richard Pitino. Richard, being here at Madison Square Garden, first Big East Media Day. How's it feel?
Good. I mean, it's why I wanted the job, to be at an opportunity to coach in this building, to be at a basketball first type league. It's cool, obviously, to see so many people that I've known from the past. For the last 4 years, you're in New Mexico and you're meeting new people, which was all great, but it's cool to catch up with a lot of people.
I was going to say, I've been watching you bounce around and see a lot of the media members here from around the Big East and coaches and everybody. What's your familiarity with the coaches of this league, the media members, and just being here and all of that?
Yeah, that part is really cool. These are people I've known since high school and college. And so to now be in this league and, whether it's Kevin Willard, who worked for my dad, obviously my dad, Ed Cooley was Providence. I've known him forever. Shaheen, I've known since he was an assistant coach. Shaka Smart, I took over for at Florida.
Yeah.
Thad Matta, we coached in the league together. Chris Holtman, we coached in the league together in the Big Ten. So there's really storylines with all of them, and that's really cool.
Have you had a Muskie Lager yet?
No, I need one right now after the amount of questions I've been asked. Stupid questions, so I need to numb the pain. And I'm hoping to have one here at some point.
They're good. I will say I can attest. I've had several. They're very good. I think Xavier Nation from over the weekend saw your social media post and became very attached to how you engaged with the fan base on social media. Is that something that you like to do, and as Xavier fans will get to know you?
Yeah, I mean, until people cross the line and ruin it for everybody. But that's a scary world, as you know, to dive into.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I understand what it is, and have a good time with it. I mean, it's a great way to kind of show people who I am, but you also got to be careful because it can be a slippery slope as well.
Italian food in Cincinnati. Yeah. You've established yourself now. We talked for our podcast when we recorded about it, but now you've had some time to really immerse yourself in Cincinnati. Soto, Mama's on Main, or where are we at?
Soto, Mama's on Main, Forno. That would be my top three.
I like that. Richard Pitino, appreciate you taking a few minutes, and enjoy the rest of Big East Media Day here.
Yeah, thank you.
Tre Carroll, did you tie the bow tie yourself?
No, it's a clip-on.
It's a clip-on. That's right.
We make this as easy as possible, baby. Come on.
So you got married this summer.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this the wedding fit?
No, so the shoes are the wedding fit, but these are not. I wore a cream suit for my wedding to match my wife's creamish, whitish wedding dress.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun in Mexico. We got married August 2nd. We're married almost about 2 months now, and it's awesome.
Congratulations, man. So how you like being in Cincinnati?
I love Cincinnati. The weather is definitely hitting right now because in Florida right now it's probably still 80 degrees, something like that. But now it's been getting to the 40s, the 50s, so I'm definitely feeling the change. But I love it so far. I love seeing the seasons change. I love the atmosphere. I love the food. I don't love the roads so much. The potholes are kind of driving me
They just paved Montgomery Road, though.
Yeah, but I'm still seeing a lot. But other than that, I'm having a great time here in Cincy.
Okay. You're here at Madison Square Garden. Is this your first time? Were you here with FAU?
This is my fourth time being here, I think.
Okay.
Or fourth time. third time being here, but fourth time being on this court.
Yeah.
So the first 2 times were the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the year FAU went to the Final Four, and then the following year after that we played in a Jimmy V Classic, and now here I am.
That's right. Beautiful building. What's it going to be like to play here as part of the Big East Conference and such the pageantry of this league?
Oh, I'm super excited because I've already seen like what the atmosphere feels like for March Madness. I can only imagine how it's going to be as like the versus St. John's and then the Big East tournament. You know, because I'm super excited. I know the Big East. We have the best fans here, best fan base for, you know, our conference, and I'm just super excited to get here, play for not only our fans but every fan out there because it's basketball at the end of the day. You know, it's MSG. You know, the history here is great. You love to play here no matter what, so I'm just super excited.
Trey, looking forward to watching you play at Xavier this season. Best of luck, and we'll be talking down the road.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep. Malik Messina-Moore here on Big East Media Day. You were just telling me this is your first time to Madison Square Garden, so I got to get your first impression.
It's sick, man. I'm not gonna lie. I feel all the legends that have been in here. It's cool here. It's cool.
You look up, you see the banners, you see all of the history. What's it going to be like for you to play here?
It's gonna be amazing. The Pitino family. It's gonna be a good game. A lot of people gonna be here. I just can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
What have you heard about it?
The gym, or you're talking about
What either way, it's just the history of it, the building, or the Pitino family.
the history of? I mean, I know the Knicks play here. I seen all the photos when we were walking in. Whitney Houston, all the cool people performing. But yeah, the Pitino game is gonna be fun. I can't wait for that one for sure.
You bring to Xavier, you were a 40% three-point shooter at Montana, consistently one of the best shooters on your team year after year. What do you hope to bring to Xavier this season?
Yeah, again, it's going to be shooting for sure. And I have been in the weight room with our guy, Coach Flores, so I'm looking to just expand my game, get to the rack a lot more, show how physical I can be. And yeah, it's going to be a fun year. So.
Have you tried Skyline Chili yet?
I have not. I'm scared of chili. I'm not gonna.
Okay, so here's what I always say. It gets a bad rap because a lot of people call it a chili.
Right.
I think it's more of a meat sauce,
Okay.
and you add the elements that make it a chili.
That might scare me even more, though.
Oh,
the
no.
meat sauce.
Oh, no.
Sauce. I don't know about that. The meat sauce is crazy.
You add the beans, or you add the onions, or you add the noodles. That's what really gives it the flavor and the character.
And they serve it with fries, or is it with the
You
noodles?
get fries. No, it's noodles. It's noodles or coney dogs.
I don't even
so
know.
like-
What's a coney dog?
It's
I
like a
don't
little
even
hot dog.
know. Okay.
So you go and you get I always get 3 cheese conies, no mustard, heavy onion.
Okay. So you're a pro.
I eat it twice a week.
Hey, I haven't been there yet. I might have to try it, though.
We'll get you there. We'll do a segment this year, maybe on the rebound rundown. You know, we've been going around this season, this summer, and we've been, playing horse and stuff like that. We'll just go with Malik,
Yes, sir.
and we'll go to Skyline. How about
Sir,
that?
I'm with that. That
All
sounds
right.
good. That sounds
All right.
good to me.
Malik, best of luck this season. Looking forward to seeing you play at Xavier. Looking forward to seeing you play here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
absolutely.
Have a good one.
Filip Borovicanin, welcome to Madison Square Garden. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. First impressions being here today as part of the Big East. I know you played here. You were here last year with New Mexico. So what was it like to play in this building?
I mean, I think I'm coming from the 2 programs that are one of the best venues in the country, Arizona and New Mexico. But playing in Madison Square Garden was a totally different experience for me, playing in the world's most famous arena, like they say. I think it really is. It's just incredible, and I can't wait for that to do again.
First impressions of playing at Xavier, right? Preseason's winding down, so what's it like knowing that games are right around the corner?
It's just normal, we are getting ready day by day. And like I said previously, I played in 2 of the best venues in the country, but Xavier didn't disappoint. Fans were there, a lot of fans, and we were just inviting them to help us on November 3rd.
Favorite NBA player?
Jokic,
Why?
he's Serbian, just as me. So,
You ever met him?
no, I've never met him.
Are you from near where he's from in Serbia?
I mean, I would say Serbia is small country, so we are all close nearby, but it's 2-hour drive.
Okay. Outside of Jokic, any other NBA players that you kind of model yourself after?
I mean, growing up, I liked watching Curry, Harden, Kevin Durant, but right now, Luka Doncic is someone I look up to. He's a white guy, not that quick, not that athletic, but he's just amazing and awesome basketball player, so he's one that I look up to.
Philip, I appreciate you taking a minute here, and best of luck this season.
Appreciate you too. Thank you.
Anthony Robinson, welcome to Madison Square Garden. I'll ask you the same thing that I've asked everybody else. What's it like being here in this building, knowing you're going to play here?
It's great. It's a nice arena. I can already tell it gets crazy in here. All the little boxes and stuff are wild. Yeah.
First impressions, I just asked Filip this as well. First impressions of Xavier and being here through the preseason and knowing that games are right around the corner.
It's really been great. You know, I've really gotten better as a player, and a lot of the fans showing a lot of love and stuff, so it's really great. Yeah.
And we saw that against Murray State. You had a couple of dunks, one yourself, one off an assist right off a lob. So, is that kind of what you model your game after and what Xavier fans can expect this season, that you want to play at the rim, you want to block shots, you want to try and get up there like that?
Yes, that's what you can expect from me this year.
You've taken your game here from Virginia to Xavier. What do you think's been the biggest adjustment, and what have you liked the most about your decision so far?
The biggest adjustment is definitely running a lot more and, playing a lot higher pace, faster pace. You said, what was the first?
Just what do you think about Xavier so far? I know you haven't played a game yet, but just being around in Cincinnati and your first impressions.
Oh, yeah, it's nice being, like, a key part of a team, being high usage guy, I don't know, getting the ball more often, to be honest. And then, yeah.
You mentioned playing faster, right? I think that's for a lot of you that have transferred into Richard Pitino. That's, I think, what I've heard the most is how fast you play. And until you really get out there and do it, maybe sometimes you think you want to play fast, and then you actually get out there and you're like, wow, this is really fast. Is that what it's been like?
Yeah, because, I was conditioning and stuff, but it's like nothing is like playing actually at that fast pace. So it's been really good. First few practices I was like, what is this? Like, no way I can do this. But then, like, I've gotten in better shape. So
take me through the fit here.
We went and picked up these suits. I forget from where, but
they look good though.
Yeah, thank you.
Shoes?
These shoes are from Mark Nolan. Just got them a few days ago. I've been looking for some loafers. They just happen to go with the fit. So, yeah.
We like that. Anthony Robinson, appreciate you taking a few minutes here.
Thank you.